Debt sustainability simple equation, the equation that rules the world. How debt math became the operating system of power. Flint West reporting. Section 1. Reading the code. They say knowledge is power, but they never tell you what kind. Some folks read War and Peace and call it a love story. Others read the ingredients on a gum wrapper and see the secrets of the universe. That's Artemis from Ready Player One. And she's right, because hidden inside every empire's balance sheet is the same line of code, the one that decides who prints, who pays, and who pretends. Economists call it the debt sustainability simple equation. Primary balance is greater than or equal to open parentheses R minus G close parentheses multiplied by debt divided by GDP. That's it. 5 symbols that tell you whether a nation is still steering the ship or just bailing water. It's the closest thing we've got to fiscal gravity. 2. The hidden operating system. Here's the translation. R is the average interest rate on the debt. G is the growth rate of the economy. Debt divided by GDP is the size of the anchor you're dragging behind the boat. Primary balance is what's left after you've paid everyone but your lenders. If growth outruns interest, you can run a small deficit and stay afloat. If interest beats growth, you'd better run a surplus or sink. That's not ideology. That's math. And math doesn't negotiate. Every central bank speech, every stimulus bill, every tariff war, they're all attempts to tweak one of those variables. It's not random. It's reactive code running beneath the theater of politics. Section 3. The American Test Case, 2025. Now plug in the U.S. numbers. Debt at 121% of GDP, interest around 3.4%, nominal growth 4.2%, and a primary deficit of minus 3.2%. The math whispers a verdict. Unsustainable. Growth still outruns interest for now, but the gap is razor thin, less than a single percentage point. The debt engine's running hot, fueled by confidence and caffeine. At this speed, any shock, a rate hike, a growth dip, a foreign war, and the equation flips from tolerable to terminal. Section 4. Trump's equation war. That's why the Trump administration is fighting on 3 fronts at once. First, fix the primary balance. Tariffs are synthetic taxes dressed as patriotism. They pull revenue from abroad, coerce allies to invest in U.S. soil, and mask deficit repair behind the flag. If the Supreme Court strikes them down, the fiscal patch blows wide open. Second, lower R, the interest side. Hence the heat on the Fed. Rate cut pressure isn't ideology. It's equation management. Lower the borrowing cost, shrink the danger zone. Third, raise G, the growth side. Cue the Mag 7, trillion-dollar AI hype cycles, infrastructure boondoggles, tax credits big enough to make accountants blush. Every headline about innovation is also a plea for denominator relief. Trump's not just playing politics, he's playing for time, trying to keep the math from turning against him. The world sees chaos. The equation sees choreography. Section 5. Nominal GDP engineering. When debt's too heavy to pay down, you grow around it, nominally. You inflate the denominator. You fake it till the ratio makes it. Look close and you'll see the reflex everywhere. Federal Reserve renovation, over budget, over time, but conveniently counted as output. White House ballroom facelift. Astronomical costs that still add to GDP. The big beautiful bill, tax breaks and SALT tweaks meant to goose spending, not discipline deficits. Talk of a $2,000 tariff dividend, direct consumer fuel for headline growth. Quantitative easing's ghost, waiting backstage, ready to liquefy deficits and inflate assets once more. It's Keynesian theater. Spend big, call it modernization. Hope the denominator keeps outrunning the numerator. The goal isn't prosperity, it's survival through inflation. You don't repair the ship, you paint it faster than it leaks. Section 6. The ripple effect. Every stakeholder feels the vibration. Investors chase yield in ETFs and hard assets, hedging against the next debasement. Corporations lever cheap debt to buy back stock before rates rise again. Allies get cornered, either fund America's deficits or face trade war crossfire. The Fed becomes both arsonist and firefighter, managing optics as much as money. Ordinary citizens, they pay in invisible taxes called inflation and volatility. The equation doesn't care who wins an election. It just shifts the pain along the gradient of power. Section 7. The instruction set for power. Artemis said some people can read a gum wrapper and unlock the universe. That's what this equation is, a gum wrapper for civilization. Most folks see a deficit chart and think it's just numbers. Others, the ones who read between the lines, see the instruction set for power, the code that decides who prints, who pays, and who pretends. Once you learn to read it, you stop seeing politics and start seeing physics. You realize nations don't choose policy, they obey equations. And somewhere between the White House ballroom and the Fed's marble halls, the math hums on, quiet, cold, writing the next chapter of the world in digits instead of words. Flint West, observer of equations and chronicler of empire logic. Signing off.